Okay, finally, that was interesting. Um, yeah, so we're saving the all the technical issues for the last session. So, thank you everybody for coming along with the journey on this. So today really is going to be sort of a recap. I know some people probably haven't attended all the sessions or seen everything, and it's good to just revisit. And then at the end, we're going to do a a unguided meditation, which will help prepare you for future whenever you're just on your own or when you don't have a guided meditation available. It's one of the ways that I started off doing meditation, so it's kind of the original for me as well. So yeah, we'll go ahead and get started. Just again, we're going to talk basically about a recap, and I've gone over the definition of mindfulness. I think in every session, but it's really just being aware of the present, being aware of your thoughts and your feelings, um, and in doing that, the meditation itself is the practice of doing that. Literally practicing and trying to be more mindful. Actually, people who have meditated for a long time and have it as part of a culture often refer to it as sitting practice, rather than saying I'm going to meditate. They'll say I'm going to be sitting or sitting practice. And so basically with our thoughts, we often think we have control over our thoughts or we're aware of them, but most of the time they just kind of flow. We don't really have a whole lot of interaction with them. Um, we typically focus on things that have happened in the past. We mull over what we could have done better, things we could have said differently, or they're worrying about the future, things that may or may not happen. Um, and what we're trying to do with meditation and mindfulness is not getting rid of those feelings or emotions, or those thoughts, but recognizing them and being able to process them in an objective manner, in a useful manner. All of the thoughts and the feelings that we have are really natural and just part of who we are. And we want to accept those as being okay. They are things that happen to everybody, and that's just the way we work. Um, we try just not to see them as being good or bad. They just are. And anything, even a negative emotion, can be viewed as just information that may indicate that further work or thought may be needed on a particular issue. In business, this is actually practical as well. In business, you'll hear of basically mindfulness called flow, being energized and focused really in on what you're doing and working on at the time. Since this is March and right in the season, you'll also hear people talk about a basketball player or a football player being in the zone. I usually think of it being basketball because football's more a little bit more sporadically uh, activated. You could also have that, I guess, with hockey, but I hear it a lot in basketball. Being in the zone, you're focused in on your activity or your sport. You're not worrying about what's gone wrong, what may happen in the future. You're just focused on your shot at the particular time. You're focused on guarding. You're just really keyed in, and that is in itself mindfulness. The benefits of mindfulness are um, are many. Populations who live the longest in the world usually have a way of downshifting. This is typically through either meditation or prayer. And I said in the first class that prayer can often be used as a form of meditation if you're completely present. Um, the idea that a lot of the meditation practice came from Buddhism, um, and that it really complements it complements religion as opposed to being a separate and competing religion is um, sort of a tenet even to Buddhism. Um, it is not really a religion. It is more of just a way of thinking. Uh, the problem, of course, comes from the fact that the American lifestyle and our way of thought, especially, is just to push, push, push. Even single tasking is not okay. You have to multitask. You have to be always on something. And when I started doing mindfulness, I would even get anxiety that I wasn't worrying about something at the time. When my mind was clear, I was then worried that I should be worrying about something. Um, the Harvard study on mindfulness found that people who do practice mindfulness and meditation have usually about 40% fewer medical services. They have considerably less stress, less sleep, and less pain that they experience. So there are distinct medical reasons for doing mindfulness as well. Um, in the second session, we talked about values, and the reasons we talked about values are that they are really how people behave around the world. Um, a researcher named Shalom Schwartz did a survey around the whole country, looking for all the different values that people share, and really found that there are 10. And how the mash of those 10 values uh, exist within yourself determine what is important to you at that point in your life. Your values will shift based on your life and your experiences. You realize that some may be or may not be as important as you get older. A certain drastic event may shift them in some direction as well. This comes down to the idea of a thought being in Buddhism considered wholesome, a thought which makes you happy or promotes freedom or peace of mind. In general, those are the thoughts that align with your values. The unwholesome thoughts are those that promote what they consider promote suffering or reduce freedom of mind. They tie yourself up. Those are the thoughts that don't align with what are important to you with your values. These are also important when dealing with others to understand that other people will operate under different values. And those values may be stronger in areas that are completely not important to you. And you may feel as though their thoughts and actions make no sense because their values are completely different. So by understanding that other people will have different values, we can gain a little bit of a compassion, offer a little bit of grace that um, they're just behaving on what their values are as well. In sessions 3 and 4, we talked heavily about positive and negative thoughts. We talked about how humans really have been engineered to focus on negative thoughts, and that was adaptive. It was a developed necessity. Uh, when we were uh, an infant species, even small harms, whether that's a scratch or um, a small event among tribal members, that could mean life and death, exile, serious injury. So those negative thoughts were important, drastically important, more important than the positive thoughts. As we practice being present through meditation, um, oh, I'm sorry. Like we practice being mindful through the process of meditation, repeating those negative thoughts because we're so wired into those will train our brains to focus on the negative even more. And while we have talked about how negative thoughts aren't necessarily good or bad, the process of being trained and repeating those negative thoughts can lead to difficulty in letting go of them. It'll be a cycle of those negative thoughts, which can increase anxiety, distress, and depression through a process called rumination. It really just makes them harder to get out of that cycle. So, in order to sort of counterbalance that, we particularly practice positive thoughts. Um, and those can be done through practices in meditation called using a mantra, saying repeatedly, thinking, I am enough, or something like, I am content in this moment, which is a very Zen sort of statement to use as a mantra. Or like we practiced in session 3 through a meditation called loving kindness. And then in session 5, we then looked a little bit more about how we can practice mindfulness in our day-to-day lives. Things, just mundane things, walking. You can feel the ground or the air around you, the sound of birds in the trees, appreciating the spring colors now that we have them again. Um, we can practice them in when we're eating. You can smell, really take time to smell and feel the food and taste it individually. Really savor every bite that we take, rather than just eating mindlessly in front of the TV, which I'm of course guilty of, as I think everybody is at this point in the world or in this day and age. And even doing chores really can help make those day-to-day chores go by much easier. Focusing on the sound of a vacuum, being grateful that you have a vacuum rather than having to sweep everything individually. You can feel of the clothes as you fold laundry, and appreciate the process that went into making them. Uh, you can even appreciate the look and the shine of a newly cleaned dish as you're washing dishes. There are resources out there to help you, mindfulness apps, which we talked about in the first session. I've been using Balance. They offer a full year free. Um, I think they're still doing that. Um, and they provide guided meditation. There's a couple other free ones. Insight Timer, which is offers free meditation, and then has some expanded stuff with a paid plus account, as does the app 10% Happier, which is run by Dan Harris's company, who has written books on meditation as well. There's a UCLA app, which is completely free, and then there's a couple fairly common paid ones called Headspace and Calm if you really want to get into it. There are, of course, a ton of podcasts out there on mindfulness. A lot of them will bounce back and forth between the discussion of mindfulness as well as offering meditations in their own. So that is just a recap um, of what we've talked about throughout the 6 weeks here. Today we are going to practice a meditation which is unguided. We're gonna practice just being alone with our process without having me talking over them. Um, as a reminder, with meditation, it's always better to practice many short daily, even daily meditations than to do one long sitting of meditation. Uh, in the process of meditation, we just want to try and be present in the moment. Our thoughts will drift. We acknowledge them. We understand that that is perfectly natural. If you want to keep a journal, sometimes that may be useful to keep track of what thoughts come in, what is pulling for your focus at that particular time. And all we want to do is just then gently guide our thoughts back to the present moment, whether we're focusing on our breath um, or a body scan or something of that sort. Um, so, in this meditation, we want to we can think about one of the meditations that we've worked for us over the past few weeks. We can count breaths. We can just even notice the process of breathing in and out. We can think about maybe doing a body scan, which is, of course, checking in with the individual parts of your body, checking how they feel. You might even try an open meditation, just being present in the moment, which is called Zen meditation, which is sort of the traditional Buddhist meditation, just being in the moment. So I'll give you a second to think about what you want to practice, what you want to think about, what you want to focus on during this meditation. Okay, and then we're going to go ahead and get into our meditation for today. Let me get my little timer going. Okay, let's go ahead and close our eyes. Focus on how we feel, if there's anything that needs to be adjusted so that we're in a more comfortable seating space. We want to get our back straight, feel like we're being pulled towards the ceiling. Really, we just want to open up our lungs to get a really full breath. Okay, we'll start with a deep breath and another and one more. Okay, so from here on, I'm going to let you go into your own unguided meditation. We'll practice whatever form you want to, and I'll give you about 5 to 6 minutes just to be with your thoughts or within your individual meditation choice. Well, go ahead. Okay, that's been about six full minutes of unguided meditation. To finish up, we're going to take a deep breath. Another. And one more. As you feel ready, feel free to slowly open your eyes. Okay. So as always, take some time to congratulate yourself on taking a little bit of time just for yourself today. Um, it's not something that we often do. So it's always good to reflect positively on those. So with that, that is the end of our series for the beginning of mindfulness and meditation. I may take this up in the future. I'm not sure. Uh, we'll have to see. Maybe again in the fall. I'll run this again, or maybe we'll look at more advanced topics. So with that, thank you for participating, and I hope to see you in the library. Thanks.